Hello there, and welcome to the Super Bowl preview edition of Talking with Tony. And as always, we welcome back our TWT lead football expert, Danny Arp, to discuss all things Super Bowl. In the past, we've discussed commercials, we've discussed halftime shows, discussed the game. We'll probably get into a little bit of all that. Although first, I want to say I'll be remiss. I want to go back and tell you that I'm thinking about the people that have the victims of all the flooding and things that happened in North Carolina, the fires in Palisades, and of course in California. And then here most recently, not only a plane crash of a medical plane in Philadelphia, but also of an American Airlines commuter plane in DC. So our thoughts are with all of these people that have been affected by that. And just if I take a moment of personal preference, I can tell you that that last one, the one that went into the Potomac, really registered with Tara and I because it brought back memories to me of like 1982, 83 with that Florida Airlines that hit shortly after taking off, hit the bridge, and then went in, and five or six people were the only ones to survive, and some Good Samaritans played a role in that, one who ended up losing his life. But also, my wife that day had flown on an American Airlines commuter, the exact same plane as, unfortunately, is involved with the collision in the helicopter. She was coming in, though, from another destination, but she landed on the exact same runway that they were supposed to be on with an American Airlines commuter, obviously same Reagan International. So it's really hit us, and I think it was very emotional for her when she left to fly home or fly into Memphis when all of the emergency vehicle things were still there and the police presence was there, and you could tell like where the families had been and stuff. So those things kind of been weighing on us and just building up here over the last week or so.
Yeah, man, that's tough. I didn't realize that. So she was in before or after them?
Before she was there earlier in the day under the
Yeah, I guess
daylight.
they
Of course,
shut it
that
down a little after. Yeah.
yeah, collision happened at night. I know there's still investigations to be done. You see that guy, I'm proudly wearing my Trump 2024 thing. I'm proud of this guy for coming in and doing what he's doing. I We knew that it was going to be a lot different than the previous administration, Danny. You don't have to like Trump to admit that. Anybody can admit that, and I'm not saying you don't. What I'm saying is like we didn't really know who was running the country the previous 4 years because the president just wasn't very visible, especially after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This guy's everywhere. You know, he's in North Carolina, he's in California, he is literally everywhere. And one can make the argument he might be trying to do too much. But Lane Anderson used to use that example of like with Trump, like, look at me, look at me, look at me over here, over here. By the time you get focused over there, it's like that whole red ball thing, and he's somewhere else. Maybe there's something to that, Danny. Maybe this guy's doing a little too much right now.
I tell you what, compared to the previous president, he is everywhere. You go from nowhere to everywhere. And if there was ever a case for cloning, this could be a clone, man. I mean, how can an 80-year-old do all this? I mean, I don't know. But he is all over the place, and it's like I told you on the last show, just try to rein it back just a little bit, some of the stuff he's doing. I mean, this one yesterday I thought was a little out there. But to your point, I will say about all the plane crashes and stuff, that's terrible, and all that happening right around the time we swap power. It's definitely a scary few days in the US, and then for you to tear it almost, be right there near it. That's crazy. But seems to be normalizing if Trump can just calm down with some of the stuff he said.
I want to take this opportunity to brag on Rick Grinnell, who I think of as a friend of mine. He's not. I've never met him before, but it just seems like a guy that I know. And Rick was the first openly gay person to ever serve in a presidential cabinet when he served as acting national director of intelligence for President Trump in Trump's first term, and he was for 3 years ambassador to Germany. Right now, I think Trump really wanted him for Secretary of State, but because he's sort of a controversial guy, he's a real bulldog. He's a real no-nonsense guy, very aggressive. And Rubio was a great choice for Secretary of State. But I think Trump didn't know if he could get him through. So what he's named him is Special Envoy to Special Missions. That's very open-ended about exactly what that means. So Rick lives out in LA. So when President Trump visited Palisades, Rick Grinnell is the guy sitting right beside President Trump during all the questions and the press conferences and the talking to the Democratic politicians and the LA mayor and the media. And then the following Thursday, he's in the Oval Office, and Trump is telling him, I need you to go to Venezuela in the morning, and I need you to negotiate these six hostages have been held over a year in Venezuela. The next morning, he's with Maduro, who we don't recognize as the president because it's widely known that he lost by like 2-1 and he's in his third term. He's meeting with him. And that evening, he's walking up to these six American held hostages saying, I'm Rick, I'm an American diplomat, and I'm here to take you home. And those guys were home a few hours later with escorted in by the Air Force. So Rick Grenell has had an incredible, successful week as well.
Yeah, it seems like it's been 6 months already with all the stuff that's going on. It's just action-packed news cycles, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is though. Now, right now, is two different worlds. I mean, as we were leading up to the election, you could go back and forth between, you know, CNBC or whatever it is, MSNBC, CNN, Fox. You'd still get some crazy both sides of the story, but it was a little more towards the middle. It's like two different timelines going on right now, man. I mean, if you watch CNN for an hour and then watch Fox for an hour, it is literally two worlds out here in this country right now. It's crazy, man. Of course, I don't know how many people are watching CNN, but they definitely have a different perspective.
CNN has let some of their staff go. They've reassigned some other staff, and they've given the options to move some time slots around. And like Jim Acosta decided he didn't want that option, and he left. But they also came out with a statement that they were going to be more central in their coverage and more fair, but they haven't yet. So those on air haven't gotten the memo yet that America got. So I'll be very curious to see. Meanwhile, Fox's ratings are through the roof, and I thought it would be MSNBC's ratings that went through the roof because I would thought that, people who were happy with the election results would kind of ease up. I would use one of my best friends as a Democrat. Whenever I question him something when Obama's been president or another Democrat, Biden, whatever, he'd go, "Oh, I hadn't been keeping up with it." That was always his line, whether or not he had been or not. That was going to be my line. If anybody complains to me about anything Trump's doing, I'm just going to say, "Oh man, you know what? I haven't been keeping up with it." But I thought people who would keep up with it would be the opposite to want to know, what he was going. So I thought MSNBC's ratings would increase. But the one number that just is staggering to me is Greg Gutfeld as far as late night television host and his dominance over people like Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Fallon, by the way, is last of the four, and he used to be something. At least I thought, I thought he was something. Can you explain how a cable channel is outdoing a channel that everybody gets? Like everybody gets the basic channels, so there's no, the platform is there for people to take in Jimmy Kimmel if they want to. How can a cable channel, Danny, be beating all three?
Well, I think you get a little too much silliness with Jimmy Fallon and all those guys, and they want to try to mix it in and be serious, and they say such ridiculous stuff. Which, don't get me wrong, Gutfeld says some ridiculous stuff, but it's he's definitely speaking to a broader audience right now with what he's saying, and I think his guests that are on there got a wide variety of opinions, comedians, different kind of public personalities. And I think that just draws in more people than this nonsense. Everybody's a little sick of hearing from the Hollywood folks,
Yeah.
I don't want to too. I know y'all big movie folks, but I'm just saying people are probably tired of hearing that a little bit and want to hear some real, they get the comic relief from other places, I guess, right? You can go on Twitter or TikTok for 2 hours and laugh all you want. Nobody wants to hear Jimmy Fallon talk. That's my thoughts anyway.
No, I think you're but
I
on
do
there.
think Gutfeld, I've been watching him a long time, all the way back from when he first started. I'm sure you have been too.
Red Eye, yeah.
But he reminds me a lot of the right side of the Bill Maher. They're both sort of coming back with their attitudes. They always were thought of as, attitude, Bill Maher politically incorrect with some of the stuff he used to say. But I think they're both sort of coming back to the middle and saying, let's get some common sense going around here and quit doing dumb stuff,
Gutfeld is brilliant, but he also has an exceptional writing staff. Guys like Joe Mackey and Joe DeVito, Tyrus Kat Temp is a good writer. I don't really care for her a whole lot, but I'm a huge
I
fan
like
of.
cat. I love cat.
No, no, I'm a huge fan of Tyrus, but I'm not much of a fan of Cat Temp. But I just
I'd like
I
to
just
know
never
sometime. We got to have a conversation about that. I'd like to know what you got against me.
I just never thought a cable channel would win that time slot because when we were kids, man, late night television was big. First, Johnny Carson and David Letterman
Yeah.
and Jay Leno. I mean, that's just something you did, and Conan O'Brien later on. And now a cable channel host is beating all three of the major networks. It's insane. And he's winning the that age demographic, that 25 to 54 demographic they always talk about. He's winning that as well.
I think Cat and Tyrus are having a lot of impact on that, bringing in some of that younger demographic.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't
no,
often
you're.
see a female New York with some conservative concepts.
I think she's an
I'm careful
independent,
what
but
I
she
say.
has some
You know what
conservative
I'm saying?
leanings.
Yeah, you know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah. I know what you're
To
saying.
me, that's more
Absolutely.
of a concept. You know what I mean? More like what I think about, I guess, not as conservative as some people.
All right, so yesterday I started writing That Winter
I
When,
saw that.
WHEN. It's the third installment of my four. So I'm eager to get back into that. And we had a cliffhanger at the end of the second one, and people have had there's been a very emotional response to that to the second one, and I hope that I can make people happy with the third one because there are some characters in peril at the end of the second one, and they are some of the favorite characters of readers and followers. And you don't want to, if people are going to invest their time and their money into like things that you write, you don't really want to upset them. You want to keep them. But it is about persevering and getting over obstacles in life and leaning towards Christ and looking towards the heavens for help. So things aren't always easy here on this earth, and they don't always work out the way we want them to be. Sometimes there are some curveballs, and those characters are they're feeling that. But so anyway, that's kind of what I'm sharing today is that I'm beginning the third installment. So I always appreciate your encouragement when it comes to writing those books.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's exciting to see your post and what you're doing and how you're working on it. You already, another book in the process, thought process down the road as well. So I'm excited for you, man. I think it's great that you do it.
Been
And
Been very blessed, Danny. That's all that I can say. But I have to give credit to God because I believe in life. When you have a blessing come your way, that's what you have to do. And writing a bestseller, number one overall bestseller, was not on my bingo list, and it may have my name on it, but was it was God's work. And the 6 weeks this summer, the success of it just blows me away. Fall and Recover has not reached that level and probably won't get to that level. It did get number one on a Christian inspiration chart. That was nice, but it didn't get the coveted overall digital downloads and Kindle views that 6 weeks this summer did. And 6 weeks this summer had four Christian inspiration number one charts. But I am still proud of both of them, and I'm going to do my best to, write a good third and a solid fourth as well. But today we got to talk Super Bowl. I got a feeling that we can open up though with commercial and bring back something that we mentioned on last year's show that was a big hit when you went into one of your favorite commercials. You remember what I'm talking about?
I do remember the one you're talking about, and that's the Pepsi commercial that came on and it had a very popular star from our time that was in it. And it starts off, like I said, with two little boys. They're sitting there leaning over a fence, and they're just sitting there watching this car pulls up. I think it's a red Ferrari or something, pulls up, and they get out and they walk over there. And, they're watching it's Cindy Crawford is who it is, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, I'm sure Jake will do us a good solid and get a picture of that up there for us. But
Oh, and it's not revealed that it's Pepsi till the end,
no,
correct?
yeah, you don't know that. You see them looking over the fence, just sort of like eyes wide open, couldn't believe it, and they're watching. Everybody's like, "Oh, check this out!" You have the thoughts of a little boy, what could be going through a young lad's head, and then they get over there, and then she goes, orders the Pepsi and drinks it, and zooms in on her and says, man, we got to get us some of that Pepsi, man.
The kid or kids in that commercial, they're probably 35 or 40 at least now, right?
I guess they would be plenty old enough.
Yeah, I mean, time doesn't stand still. You had remembered that though last year when I asked you some of the most effective commercials or some of the most memorable commercials. Is there one or two more that you want to share?
I don't know, man. There's so many of them, and you got to your point. You got to a whole week or two build up. You got all this excitement about one, the Super Bowl coming on. Two, you're going to get to sit around with your friends, eat, drink. Back in our time when we were doing it in high school, drinking, sodas and stuff. But we didn't really do about that.
At least I was. Not everybody, but I
We could
was.
do that kind of stuff in high school. Not too crazy like that. But I just don't know, man. I don't get as excited about it. It maybe goes back to what we were, talking about earlier. People just, there's just too much other social media that hits you. And you can always go back and watch them all, online. So you just don't, you lose the excitement. I think this online stuff is, it's taken away some of the excitement of having to wait. Some of the best series, now you can stream everything just one after the other, but if you missed some of the Super Bowl commercials back in our time, you missed out, right? Everybody be talking about it the next day. You didn't get to go and pull it up online and search it up and watch it or watch it on your phone.
Right. There was
You're not missing anything, is my point. But I do think my favorite one is my last one, though, is the other one was another drink, big Coca-Cola guy. When, what's his name? Too Tall Jones.
Yeah, Ed Too Tall Jones.
Yeah. He walks in, he's all messed up and beat up,
Oh, you're talking about Mean Joe Green, though.
Mean Joe Green. Yeah. He's all beat up and he's got his jersey. He throws that. He says, hey, kid. He gives him a Coke and he chugs it. And he says, hey, kid, catch. And he throws him his jersey, I mean, as a young kid, that was a big idea, think that you could get an actual professional football player's jersey. So that's one of my favorite ones.
I think that's probably the most sentimental
Yeah.
one out of all. People look back and I think it would be really cool if they recreated that. Troy Polamalu was going to do that at one time. I think they may have had, but it'd be nice to see that come back. I'm often against Hollywood repeating things, not coming up with the new original stuff, but I thought that was pretty good. There is one that when I was much younger that I've always thought was funny, but it's probably overrated. Or I'm overrating it. And it probably didn't mean that much to me. It was a Pep Boys commercial, and it was these two guys. And it's just the one guy tells the other, "No, it won't fit," or something. He goes, "I just keep hitting it." It was called like "Just Keep Hitting It," and it showed them back to when they were kids. It was the same like two guys. He's saying something like, just keep hitting it," and so it's not really what you want your mechanic to be doing to your vehicle and all. But that one that Pep Boys commercial registered with me as being pretty good. When we were younger, the Bud Bowl was a big deal too. A lot of and I shared last year, I believe, the George Washington one about crossing the Delaware, he says something like, "We've all got places to go. We've all got places to go." That may be my all-time favorite commercial. The George Washington, was that maybe a Geico commercial, I believe.
It had to be probably Geico. Yeah.
They get stuck in the road, they can't get around the road, here's a guy that was able to like cross. It was Washington crossing Delaware, being able to, on Christmas night or Christmas Eve, and yet couldn't get across the road with his guys. But, yeah.
The other thing, talking about like modern stuff, they've already released some of the commercials that you're going to see this year. I mean, they're already out there online with a little preview. We can't wait for anything. We can't wait for Black Friday sale. We can't wait for Christmas. It's always something around here. We're all such consumerists, but they did do a nice little twist on one of them, and I'll ruin it for anybody that watches this before the Super Bowl. You got Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan back. Redoing. I mean, first of all, they look, I'm sorry, man, they look terrible. I mean, they got to stop with this plastic surgery. But anyway, they think they look great, whatever. They're redoing their When Harry Met Sally scene, and it's a Hellman's commercial, Hellman's mayonnaise commercial, so everybody have that one to look forward to. She redoes the diner scene, where she acts crazy. But
People were kind of hoping that they were getting together to do another movie. They wanted more than just 60 seconds of the two of those together.
I'll tell you what, man, I just don't know if I could watch it. I don't
Mm.
know. Can't these people look crazy with this surgery they're having on themselves? It does not look good. I mean, am I wrong, or do you think that?
No, no, you're right. And you can tell. And sometimes it's as ridiculous as guys that use hair coloring. I mean, I've gone, gray, obviously, but you can tell when a guy is coloring their hair. Remember, Herb Street last year was coloring his hair and it just looked, oh, it was just not a good look. It was not a good look at all.
I saw a guy that I hadn't seen forever when I was in Atlanta. He's a labor manager, and he came in and sat down, and he is completely white. He's got a white beard too. I'm not gonna say he looks like Santa Claus. If he grows a little longer, he will. But he walks in and sits down. And he says, "Man, you sure are white headed." I'm like, "You calling me white?" But I was in shock. I was like, "Man, I got a little color left up here," But he was acting like I was just like, he hadn't seen me in about 3 years. So I guess I am going gray. But I've always had gray hair. But I told Jana if I ever get moved to another location where I'm not in Georgia, where people don't really know me, I'm going with I'm going with a little color.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go a little salt, I'm gonna bring it down to just barely a little salt and pepper.
Okay. Well, I'm at that gray, and I've just accepted it. Tara seems not to mind it. She seems to actually like it. So,
You
that's really
always
the only
have
person.
light colored hair though.
Yeah, yeah, and I've always been clean shaven, but I guess if I went 3 or 4 weeks without shaving, I'd probably be gray, here too.
Yeah.
And that's just not
Oh,
a,
and the beard, yeah.
yeah, that's just not a good look. I think like guys that have that look are just like, I don't know, man, they've given up or something, but that's just like,
Well,
that's just my,
look, if you look like Jake and you keep nice facial hair and it looks good on you, that's one thing. Some faces can carry it, some can't.
but he doesn't have the gray yet. When he gets the gray,
I
it'll
mean,
look
even with the
foolish, and he'll
gray, I
need
think he could carry it. Like, you or myself with a beard would be a problem. I've tried to grow one. Like I've shaved every day of my life, seems like for 30 something years. And,
to.
when I go, except, I used to on my fall break, I'd try to grow a beard because I always wanted to be that guy. I want to be able to have a beard. I think back some of the best beard on any man ever is Jeff Parrott, the old relief pitcher for the Braves. You remember him?
I do.
Best beard in history. Just Google it. All y'all out there, you trust me, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I always wanted to grow a beard like that. And it looked terrible, man. I always, by the end of the week, I had splotchy spots.
Hmm.
It was awful.
I mean, it just seems disgusting to me. Food and your beard and I just don't want to go. Yeah,
People can groom themselves, dude, and keep themselves neat. I don't know why you got to go there, but
yeah, yeah. You groom yourself by having short hair and no facial hair. That's the best way to groom yourself.
I think if you can wear it where you look okay, it's okay. But a lot of people can't, and they do it anyway, and it's a problem. That's all I'm
Can you
saying.
imagine Trump with a beard?
No, it would look insane, dude. It would be the
Yeah.
most. It'd be the craziest thing you've ever seen.
Also, when that crash happened last week, I thought back to you and I were much younger, but in 1989, three Trump executives were killed in a helicopter crash. It wasn't one of Trump's helicopters. But I believe they've been promoting a boxing match that was coming up, and he lost three Trump executives, casino executives, I believe, in that crash. Hey, we gotta get to the game, but first of all, like we did talk halftime entertainment last year, and both of us were just totally, fans of the Stones and fans of Prince and all. And I thought Bruno Mars is one of the better ones of late. What do you think about Kendrick Lamar? What are your expectations there? He's coming off tremendous Grammys.
Yeah, I mean they picked a good person to have on there since he did take home the hardware from the Grammys. I don't know. I mean, he's good. I guess another good performer. You know me, I'd rather see the Stones myself, but
Yeah,
I don't get to pick. And again, the Stones won a Grammy. I mean, they just won Rock Album of the Year with Hackney Diamonds. Tell me I didn't pick that one when we talked about it when they
that's
came out.
true.
That's hard to believe. Their third Grammy was at the ripe old age of 80. But they won for Best Rock Album. Didn't even show it on TV, by the way. They didn't even show
That's insane. That is insane.
how the Best Rock Album couldn't be announced, but it is what it is. But they beat the likes of Pearl Jam, I think Green Day. So they beat some really good bands. And
And what does your shirt say today?
today I am wearing Pearl Jam, though. Just
Oh, Yeah, nothing wrong with Pearl Jam.
Sort of in that
No.
grunge state of mind. I'm on vacation, so I'm grunging a little bit.
What's your favorite Pearl Jam song?
I'd say "Given to Fly" probably.
Okay.
It's one nobody knows. The second favorite, one everybody knows, obviously, "Black" is my favorite off
That's
the.
my favorite. I thought you might say that Jeremy, spoke in class today or something. I
I
thought you
enjoy
might.
that song, but I like. I mean, that's what this is from, the 10 album. It's got all
Hmm.
first hits, but from that one, I would say "Black" was my favorite. From verses, it would have to be "Daughter" probably, and the
Okay.
present tense was off that Yield album, I think.
No, this is going to surprise you because I'm still not a Swiftie and I'm not one of her biggest fans either, but I would elevate Taylor Swift's style song and now into one of my top 10 favorite all-time songs. To me, it reminds me a lot of an 80s song listening to it. And I think it is just so well done. And I think she hits the moment. And yeah, I'd have that in my all-time top 10. I never thought I would say that.
I'm gonna have to go listen to that a few times, Tony. I don't know.
So I want to get your feedback and see if you think it's like
I'll,
a
I'll listen to
80s.
it and give you some feedback on that because I'm.
It reminds me of something 83-ish versus 2014 or whatever year it did come out.
I'll have to check that out because
I'm
I'm
per,
not
I'm, per,
really.
I'm, per, I'm perpending here, which means to consider, to ponder if that was 2014 is right. I think the year was 2014. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Swiftie, but
So
that
you
song
got that
seems
in
like
your top 10 of all time, is what you're
I
saying?
really do. Yeah, my all-time favorite song is a song from Climax Blues Band in 1981 called "I Love You," and that was the song that Tara and I danced to at our wedding, and I've loved that song since I was a little kid, and it was a number 11 hit in the States, and it was unlike anything that band ever did. It was written really about a solo project by a guy named Derek Holt, Holt, who I believe is one of the few surviving members of the Climax Blues Band. Their biggest hit in the States was called Couldn't Get It Right, but they were a blues band, and that is a love pop song, that Climax
What
Blues
was that?
Band
What's
song.
the song again? I love you.
Yeah,
All right, I've
yeah.
got it locked in here. I'll go back and hear that one as well.
All right, I
It's your
appreciate
favorite
it.
song of all times, huh? Of all.
Of all time, that is my favorite song of all time. I will also tell you that even though this doesn't make my top 10, I've been thinking of you a lot lately because I've been listening to some Stones, a couple of their songs. One that you are very familiar with me sharing before is Tears Go By, I think 1965, that song. The other one, though, and I mentioned to you just once that I was listening to, but I've been listening to it a lot. And that's what I do. I'll listen to the same song over and over for a couple of months.
Oh,
But
yeah.
under my thumb, I think that has a great tune.
Fantastic song, man. I mean, it is one of the best songs. It's just got a great little groovy, beat to it. It's the lyrics are incredible. It's
Mhm.
I would put that one in my top 20. That's for sure.
Your all-time favorite top 20
Yeah, I would say
or
no,
top?
20 Rolling Stone songs.
Oh, okay. All right. Where do you have Start Me Up in that
Rolling
top
Up's in
20?
the top 20. Yeah, they started the tour off last year with that one. That's always a good one. But I
They
like the.
usually do start their tours off with that song, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, they do. They like to start off with that one. They like to start off with Street Fighting Man. They've done that for years. They did uh what's another one they started them off with? Heck, I don't know. They sold ain't many of them. But Start Me Up has always been one of their big. Once they had that one on the in the rotation, they've been using that one to start up their concerts.
But as far as halftime shows go, Danny, do we agree that like it's hard to get past Prince playing in the rain,
Oh yeah, you
playing Purple
can. I mean,
Rain?
I think we decided that last year. That was the number
Yeah.
one uh,
Yeah.
Prince in the Rain. Then Michael Jackson was a good one. I know, he had a rough go, but Michael Jackson was a good one. Popped up.
Cowboys, Bills, halftime.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
just stood there for like 3 minutes or something. I mean, who do you know who just stand somewhere for 3 minutes and people just scream for 3 minutes before they even start doing
Yeah.
anything?
Cowboys won that game. I think it was 52-17. But what it will never be forgot for the hustle by Don Beebe to get that football away from Leon Lett, and Leon Lett was about to score, even though they were getting trounced. You have to love an effort like that. There's something to be said about going all out. It's sort of like a gesture of defiance when you get some personal achievement in a significant loss, and that was Don Beebe's moment there when he got that ball out of Leon Lett's hands.
Well, Leon Lett, he was always out in front. I know a lot of people probably have to go back and look him up, but yeah, he was always in the mix. He was up to something at all times. But that's good. Super Bowl's been a lot of good. It's going to be exciting this week. I guess we got to pick it here, but
Yeah, but by the way, I just liked my gesture of defiance, a moment of personal achievement. I thought that was pretty well spontaneously done, by the way.
yeah, yeah, no
I
doubt.
like that. It's almost like I'm a writer or something, to
You,
come
you
up with
you have a
something.
way of coming up with things.
Yeah. Let's do talk Super Bowl and some picks. Before you pick the game for us, Danny, a couple of other things I want you to pick. The over-under is 49. How do you see that? You see over or you see under in that?
I'm seeing over on that one right there, 49. I'm
Okay.
thinking
And
somewhere,
Mahomes is
thinking somewhere in.
passing.
Go
Somewhere
ahead.
what? No, I was just gonna say Mahomes' passing yardage is 253 and a half yards. You like an over or you like an under?
I like the over on that.
Okay. And what about props on both guys to throw an interception? Yes or no? Mahomes, yes or no?
Mahomes and no.
And
Hurts said yes.
Hurts.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. All right. Well, I'm glad
And
you.
what's
That way,
Saquon Barkley at? He's at like 139 or something on the yards. I can't. What was that?
is that rushing and
Yeah.
receiving yards
Yeah.
together? Okay. Well, he is something special. There's no doubt. While Danny's researching that or looking at that, I want to give you the panel's picks. John did win the individual championship this year, and he likes the Chiefs minus 1.5, as does Stormy and Jason. The three of those like the Chiefs minus 1.5. Kevin, who really just fell apart in the last 4 or 5 weeks, is the one member of those four to go with the Eagles plus 1.5. And he said as much because a lot of Georgia players play on the Philadelphia defense, which is absolutely correct. But that was the reason why he was going with the Eagles. I don't know if he really believes they're going to win. I kind of do, to be honest with you. But he
Yeah.
certainly wants to pull for those guys. I hate Nakobe Dean is out because out of all those players from UGA, he was my favorite. And I hate they don't have Swift anymore but I also understand you got Saquon Barkley, and
Oh
he's
yeah.
a pretty,
I mean,
pretty special player. Were you looking up the yardage there
I
on
was. I
Barkley?
can't. I can't get it. I don't. I'm terrible at my. See, that's why
Yeah.
I was complaining about the. They got him for 59. No, they got him for 13 and a half on receiving yards, and they got him at 100. I got him out of here. That's if he scores a TD. Oh, 112.5.
Oh, rushing yards.
Yeah,
Well, I'd go over. I really would. I
I
mean,
would
I
go
think
over on that as well. That's what I'm saying.
we got 2 minutes. Will you give us your pick on the game? The Kansas City Chiefs favored by 1.5. So really, what you're doing here is just picking the winner.
Yeah, I think that I'm gonna have to go ahead and go. I know we talked last time about history and 3 times in a row, and I think it's a reason why you don't talk about 3 times in a row a lot. And I think it's just going to be too much with that Eagles defense for the Chiefs. And I am going to go with the Eagles myself, plus the
Okay.
1.5.
I'll join you there to make it 3-3. So me and you and Kevin will be on the Eagles, and then John, Stormy, and Jason will be on the Chiefs. But despite the Eagles' strong defensive effort that you're anticipating, you still like over 49 in the total points.
I do. I think there's going to be some high scoring affairs. It's going to remind you of, I mean, I think these quarterbacks and these weapons they have on both sides are going to get their points. But I think that the defense is going to be good enough to stop them when they need them to, for the Eagles to hold on and win.
All
So, I
right,
mean,
Jake, Jake says we've got 60 seconds. I do want to tell folks I enjoyed seeing The Brutalist. We talk a lot of movies here on Talking with Tony, and I suggest you go see it, give it a shot. It's certainly probably going to be the best picture of the year, certainly nominated. But cipher off like 3 hours and 45 minutes because that's exactly how long it is when you throw in the 15-minute intermission. It has a 15-minute intermission. I don't remember intermission since Gandhi in 1982, but it has a 15-minute intermission in there. Danny, we got 20 seconds. Final thoughts?
I hope everybody has a great weekend. Get out and make some soup and have a Super Bowl day. I think Jan and I are going to try that. Both of us make some soup and see who does it best. We're both terrible cooks, so probably wind up throwing it down the sink. But hope everybody has a great weekend. Uh, I'm looking forward to it, and I'll enjoy myself the rest of this week being off from work. So hope
Enjoy the enjoy the game, Danny. Enjoy the game, Jake, and we'll see you next time right here on Talking with Tony.